Hotepu. Today's podcast is going to be very direct. I call this podcast Outing Heru. He can dish it out, but can he take it? Gay men strike back. My goal today is to deconstruct the delusions of grandeur that heterosexual men have had for millennia against everyone in the world, the planet Earth, women, gay people, that they've had since the beginning of time. But I don't think they're anything to talk about. And what's been used against my tribe, the gay men of Kemet, is that there are in particular Kemetic communities that bash us in the name of Ma'at, in the name of the teachings of Kemet. So let's talk about the teachings of Kemet. And let's see if the hetero males, with their machismo, can take it like a man. We'll begin with an analysis of the story they like to use to promote their agenda of the black man savior. His name is Heru. So Heru is always invoked by heterosexual men to validate their heteroinsecurity, homophobia, their machismo, and them being on the top of the heap. But let's review the key part of the story, the myth of Heru, and see not what the delusional heteros and their megalomania mean to say, but what the actual story tells us. Well, first of all, the first Heru mentioned in the story of Heru, As, and Osar, or what the whites call Horus, Isis, and Osiris, is that the first Heru was Heru Ur, or Heru Krenti an Ma'ati, Heru the elder, Heru the blind. So we start the story with Heru being blind. How many hetero men are blind in the world to what their machismo and ego do to others, to women, to nature, to gay men, to the planet? So the story starts with heteros being blinded. And I must say, in all the iconography I've come across in Kemet, I've only seen one image where a god is bound to an evil force visually. That's right, I've only seen one where evil and the so-called good force are visually bound in artistic expressions of Kemet. What is that image? The image of the double-headed Heru Set. Heru is supposedly the savior, the good guy, and the front of his head, his face, is shown as the hawk man. But sprouting from his neck, the back of his neck, is the odd creature of Set, lord of evil. So, unique to all of Kemet is a picture of Heru joined to evil, Set. And some may say, well, once upon a time, Set was not an evil god. That is also true. And it's also true he is evil. Both are true. So what is he, good or evil? This makes sense to me with heteros, with hetero men. Are they good or are they evil? Their warring ways, their belligerence, their machismo, they say it brings economy and builds nations and builds buildings, but at what cost? So I feel that the Kamau sages were making a kind of cosmic joke upon the hetero males in particular, that watched them carefully, because one minute they're Dr. Jekyll, which is Heru, the so-called good guy, and the next minute they're Mr. Hyde, Set. One minute, we often see hetero men acting all, I'm going to save the black people and I love the people. Then within 5 seconds, women are secondary and gay people don't exist, and they're the ones that count and are going to make the end of the battle successful. Well, the story of the imagery tells us to watch hetero males very carefully. So we learned he's blind. We learned he's linked to evil. Iconography, wise. Then we learned when he was first born from his mother Ast, he was lame. He was born a child in the swamps of Kemet, in the papyrus swamps, and he was born lame. So hetero men are lame. If we're going to follow the storyline that Heru is the ideal hetero male, so he's linked to evil, he's blind, and he's lame. I'm not very impressed by that. You see? So, then his mama saves him, raises him. He's poisoned as a child by a scorpion in the swamps, by noxious creatures. He foams at the mouth, says the legend, and his mother saves him. Fast forward. Heru becomes a young man, trained by his father Osara in the dream world and by his mother Ast to become the avenger of his slain father by his uncle Set. Remember, Set was evil. But Heru is linked to Set. Are they the same? The image says, yes, they are. And from our experience, is it not true that heteros have done such evil on this world in the name of machismo, in the name of God, or whatever they're going to call it, justifying their bad behavior? Yes. Justifying cheating on their wives, abusing their women, leaving their children. All these things that heteros don't want to talk about. Just Heru, 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 the savior. We'll see about that. So, Heru begins to fight Set, the one who killed his father, and he became the first archetypal image in literature of the avenging son. So Heru engages Set at Edfu, and there's a great battle, and Heru and Set go back and forth, fighting like high school boys on a football team, changing forms and changing spells and fighting over and over and over. No one won. The gods said, oh my goodness, this battle's going on forever. So Heru is belligerent and not that bright at fighting, actually, because the battle was a stalemate. No one won. So what kind of warrior Heru are you if you couldn't win the battle? So he lost the battle, and then he regrouped, and then the god Tehuti came to him, the god of oracles, and said, Heru, since you're blind and not that bright, you need to understand, Heru, that you need wisdom to defeat this evil force Set. You see, Heru was too, shall we call it, unintelligent to figure that out on his own. So, Heru then used the wisdom of Tehuti to help him not fully defeat Set, but they met at a battle called the Battle of Zaru on the eastern border of Kemet. And outnumbered, Heru did do severe damage to Set. During the battle, Set had his testicles ripped off by Heru, and Set took out Heru's eye. So once again, this Heru, this savior of the people, becomes blinded again. So if he lost the first round of battles, barely won the second round of battles, but lost his eye in the second battle, he's not a very good fighter, wouldn't you say? The myths are saying this, not me. It is the storyline. It is the legend. So, Heru goes to Tehuti once again, and Tehuti heals his eye, making him be able to see again. So, once again, Heru was unable, lame as he was from the beginning, to help himself. So he's got to lean on other people to help him to victory. So I'm not impressed by this character, Heru. The savior of what? I'm not quite sure because the story goes on. Heru and Set fight. Heru beats a lot of Set's enemies, Set's men, and there's again a stalemate. Then Ast, his mother, comes in, and right before he deals the final blow, says some texts, that his mother stopped his hand and said, do not kill Set, the one I've raised you to kill, for he is your uncle. And in the end, all things are linked, and even evil has its place. And so angry was Heru, he actually, the text said, knocked his mother's head off. Now, I'm talking to the black folks in particular right now. Did you hear what the story just said? He hit his mama. He hit his mama. What kind of hero is this? What black man hits his mama? I don't care for what reason. For what cause? You understand? This guy is very questionable of character. Hardly worthy of me looking up to as some kind of hero to save the nation of black people. How many black men do you know hit their mama? And so his mother's head rolled off her shoulders, and then once again Tahuti came down and gave her a new head of a cow's head. So we have a lame, ill-fighting, belligerent, blind, mama-hitting man, black man. Are you kidding me? I'm supposed to respect this force? The same black Heru men in the Kemetic community? You know I'm talking about, all of you Kemetic brothers, talking about Heru and laying down knowledge and overstanding this and overstanding the other. I'm not impressed by your Heru ways, because you are blind to me, because you can't even see how foolish you are and how myopic you are, because you are what? Heru the blind. And I'm calling you out. So then the story continues. His mother Ost then used her wiles to get Set brought to court, because Heru's shenanigans weren't working. So his mama had to come, because he's a mama's boy, you see. His mama had to come and save the day. She turned into a beautiful handmaiden with big bosoms and a beautiful African face. And then she seduced Set to confess that he did the crimes against his own people that he accused Osar doing against his people. And so this Ost took the words of Set, wove them into a spell, and at court released a recording of sorts to the court, where Set confessed doing the same crimes he accused others of doing. And it was that case, those words, that were brought forth by Ost's magic, not Heru, but his mama, that got Set incarcerated in the house of the gods. So here's my question. You big macho Herus, you delusional black Kemetic men. Did you do anything? Did you win the battle? Or did your mama win it? Doesn't the story say that all you did was fight, blind yourself, grab Set's testicles, become lame, and cause all kinds of wars? But when it came down to results, it wasn't you. It was Ost who saved the day. So, take that and chew, you hetero men who want to pretend you're all that in a bag of chips, using the myths of Kemet to justify your homosexual insecurities and homophobia. I have news for you. I am not taking it, nor are my temples. So I out you, I call you out. Heru did nothing much to talk about. His mother did. Tahuti and Ra saved him many times when he was at his wit's end, and he didn't seem to have many wits, according to the story. So, I give this podcast to my gay brothers around the world. Do not idolize the heterosexual male. He's not that much to talk about. And from what I've heard, after 20 years of doing divinations and readings, when I hear women talk about their hetero males behind closed doors in the privacy of divine reading sessions, they tell me hetero men have 2 brain cells, only 2. One begins with an F, one brain cell for bleeping begins with an F, and one for fighting. And they told me only one of them works. So hetero males have 2 brain cells, one for bleeping and one for fighting. That most of these men don't know what they're doing in bed, the women tell me. And they're premature, and they don't satisfy her. So what's to be impressed about with having on your social media accounts only straight acting men, please? Straight acting, why would you want to act like that? This lame, useless force. This mama's boy who didn't do anything until his mama saved his behind. So, that is the Golden Beagle take on the story of Heru. You hetero men of Kemet around the world have used these stories against my tribe. Use the stories of Heru and Set, and even the sexual encounters between Heru and Set, where Set made love to Heru. If you read the text carefully, Heru didn't fight that. His mother Ost got upset about it. And then Ost took the semen that Set had laid in Heru. Stop right there for 1 minute. His mama took the seed out of her son. Now, visualize that. Let's visualize. Take a minute, think about it. That's a bit creepy, isn't it? Your mother taking the seed out of her son? Questionable family values indeed. So, don't play me and don't play my gay tribe. You strike us, we strike you back. Do you understand? So, Heru the blind, when will you see your own ways? No time soon. Even in the story of Osar was basically an absent father in the beginning. He died and left his wife and his mother. How many absentee fathers are there, you macho men? How many of you macho men leave your women and wives and children? Abuse them, abandon them. Some Heru. So I'm not impressed. So keep your Heru. We gay men do not follow the myth, and it is truly a myth, of the great savior Heru. We follow Ra. And in Ra's myth, there is no such bad behavior as we see in Heru, such questionable actions and ignoble character. No. Ra belongs to the gay priests. And then after Ra came the Heru, the Shamsu Heru. And look, blind from the beginning, lame from the start, and lame today. So, you strike us, we strike you. Hotepu.